All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. I've got a special treat for you guys today, being that it's Christmas Eve and all. So I got a lot to talk about. Now, normally, like a prick would make you guys go through like 18 different videos because there are so many topics to talk about. I've been a little bit light on this channel. I've been trying to figure out what I'm doing. I'll be honest with you, because I'm going to do some things with Sammy the Bull, like potentially some much more like heavy stuff where we might do like a show together potentially called The Bullpen, where me and Sammy talk about some things. That's in the works, maybe. But yeah, I've got a lot of irons in the fire right now, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what I'm doing. So I've been a little bit light on this channel, which means that I got a bunch of topics that kind of built up. We're going to talk about Jake Paul and Ben Askren, official. Okay, we're going to talk about Francis, Stipe, and John Jones, because Francis and Stipe are fighting, and then immediately they're going to fight John Jones. Whoever wins, huge fight. And I'll tell you why that's such a big deal. Okay, Pettis signed with the PFL, and I want to talk about how he left UFC and what it means for PFL, because it's a crazy move. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about Masvidal and Covington potentially doing Ultimate Fighter, and Colby Covington's interview from yesterday, which is gold. Okay, so if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell, okay? Then you'll hear when I upload videos like this. Now, look, if I'm only going to do 4 videos a week now instead of 7 because I'm working on other things like on my other channel, etc., you're going to want to know when they get uploaded. So ring the bell, then you'll know. So also, if this is your first time watching one of my videos, I would challenge you to find, first of all, if this is your first time watching one of my videos, this is not my normal setup, okay? It's Christmas, okay? I've got my mother-in-law staying in the studio, okay? That's what's going on. So don't break my balls about my setup, okay? Just listen to the content and then tell me it's not good. Never. Anyway, so let's talk about Jake Paul and Ben Askren. So here's the deal there. That fight's official. That's happening in March. Now, I would assume, as a matter of fact, I keep hearing people saying that this is going to be a walkthrough for Ben Askren. What? Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. Like, this is the thing that I think the trap people are falling into, okay? So I was one of the first people, I mean, listen, this is not going to be groundbreaking, but one of the first people to just say, if Jake Paul gets in the ring with Conor McGregor, he's going night-night, okay? There's absolutely no scenario where he beats Conor McGregor in a stand-up match or any kind of fight, okay? That's just not going to happen. That said, okay, I think a lot of other people are thinking that just because Jake Paul's a YouTuber, that means he can't stand a chance in any combat sport against any combat sport athlete, regardless of what their specialty is, right? So like Dylan Dennis, 4-time world champion in jiu-jitsu, right? Ben Askren, incredible wrestler, has won every single fight that he's ever won wrestling, right? And they're like, no, but these guys are professional fighters, so they'll destroy Jake Paul. Okay. Well, I think for you to have a solid position on that, you'd have to show them being dominant on their feet ever, okay? Like, it's not their specialty, right? Like, these are, like, both Ben Askren and now some guys were specialists on the ground. They developed strong, stand-up games. Like, you put Jake Paul against Gilbert Burns. Like, Gilbert Burns has won worlds multiple times. You put him in there with Jake Paul, he's going to obliterate him, okay? But he has developed into an exceptional stand-up fighter. Ben Askren, not an exceptional stand-up fighter. We got to see him in his last fight purely stand-up. Okay, like he's not knocking anyone out with one shot. And let me tell you why that matters against Jake Paul. Jake Paul will knock you out with one shot. Okay, you can say what you want about how he fights. He has titanic power, and if you can't see that, then you've never fought. Okay, like you can just, if you've ever actually been hit by a person, you can see he has big power, man. Like that's just a fact. And I know it probably pisses people off because they want to say, oh, Jake Paul's a fucking joke. I mean, he's a joke compared to elite guys, but he can knock anyone. I mean, if he lands a square shot on you, he has as much power as any of these guys. I mean, seriously. And again, if you've ever fought, you can look at him and you can see that. Like there are very few people where listen, like having a lot of power is only one facet of striking. As a matter of fact, it's probably the least important if you can't ever land any punches. Like that's great that you hit with a lot of power, but if you have no technique, you're never going to land it, so it doesn't matter. But he has okay technique. And so if you're telling me that he's never going to land on Ben Askren, I don't agree with that, because Ben Askren doesn't have knockout power, so he's not going to knock Jake Paul out. So, anyway, point being, Jake Paul has a very legitimate shot at beating Ben Askren, and I will stand by that, okay? Ben Askren can't wrestle him. He has to stand there and box him, okay? So I think Jake Paul's going to win. I really do. I think he's going to win. And I think that it's going to be he's going to be able to call for bigger fights. If he's actually doing, like, if he strategically is choosing his opponents, like, let me take a guy with a big name who sucks at striking so that I can get a bigger fight, that's genius. I mean, dude, the kid is not an idiot, right? He's a great troll. You know, he can kind of fight, and we'll see what he's got if he beats Ben Askren. Now, listen, what I would do if I was Jake Paul, between you and I, is I would pay if I was Jake Paul, I would pay Ben Askren to take a dive. I'd pay him $1 million to take a dive. Straight up. Now, I don't know if I'm saying anything illegal, but I'm pretty sure it's an exhibition match, so it's not some sanctioned body where you'd be violating any rules. I'd just be like, look, I'll give you an extra $1 million to get knocked out at the end of the first round. Want it? Ben Askren, this is just a money grab for him, right? Why not? And do you understand how much money I'm talking, this is just an investment. If I knock out Ben Askren and I'm Jake Paul, that's going to be another $50 million, $100 million to me when I fight the next guy, because then there's going to be real interest. Like, oh, he knocked out a professional fighter. It's just an investment. It's all a show, man. It's just all a show. Fight game, okay? Fight game. Anyway, and for that reason, I'll probably bet on Jake Paul, assuming that you can bet, because aside from the fact that I think he could win anyway, I think there's also another possibility that he pays Ben Askren to take a dive. Anyway, okay, so now let's talk about Francis, Stipe, and Jon Jones. Now, Francis and Stipe are fighting. I have said many times I think Francis is going to win. All he needed to do is just develop his wrestling defense just a little bit, and Stipe is going to be in trouble. And I realize everybody sleeps on Stipe. Sure, Francis isn't human, okay? Like, he is a killing machine. I just think he's going to do it this time. I just do. I think if you base it on, he found out where his weaknesses are. If he didn't develop his wrestling game after that first fight, that would be mind-blowing to me, right? And I spoke to his coach. I did an entire interview with Francis's coach, and he talked specifically about them developing his wrestling game. So I know he did, right? Now, Stipe obviously is top of the food class, top of the food chain, right? But I just think, listen, man, I think Francis is going to do it. I think he's going to be able to stuff the takedown. I think he's going to knock him out. But why that's a big deal is because, here's the thing, Stipe has had some big paydays, right? Multiple big paydays, especially the ones against Daniel Cormier, right? Those are big paydays, many, many millions of dollars. Francis has never had one. Now, if Francis beats Stipe, and then he gets to fight Jon Jones for the belt, do you understand how much money he'll make? Okay, now think about where he comes from, right? He comes from Cameroon. He was working in a sand mine when he was in his 20s, and he just decided, I'm going to be the heavyweight champion. If he beats Stipe, it's not just about winning the championship. It's about a full life attainment. He'll be the champion, and then he's going to get to fight Jon Jones, and win or lose against Jon Jones, he's going to get paid an enormous amount of money. An enormous amount of money. Okay, a couple $1,000s was a lot of money. A couple €1,000 to him was a huge amount of money when he first got to France. He'll get paid $7 million, $8, maybe $10 million when he fights Jon Jones. Okay, if you're not rooting for that, you're crazy. Just straight up. If you're rooting for Stipe to get another $8 million for that fight, $10 million versus Francis, then you have not watched Mix Molly's documentary about Francis Ngannou and understand. You just can't understand where he comes from and then be rooting for Stipe. You just can't. Or you're not thinking about it objectively, right? Like, you're not thinking about these people as actual human beings that where this is going to have real life effect, and it's like, and what it means as it relates to humanity, like people who fight and just grind. One guy's already made it, man. Stipe's already made it. He can't lose. If he loses every other fight for the rest of his life, he still has won on a level that's hard to match. Francis has not won yet, and he deserves it. If anyone fucking deserves it, if anyone in the history of this sport has ever deserved it, it's Francis. And if you don't understand why, I challenge you to go watch Mix Molly Wapari's documentary series on Francis, and then tell me you don't understand. So yeah, that's that. Now, Pettis is out of the UFC. I just wanted to say this. I thought that he left the UFC with such an incredible amount of class, man. Like, just, absolutely pure class. Seriously. Like, he releases a statement that was so thankful to everyone involved in the UFC, to Dana, to the Fertittas, to everyone. And I've never seen a person leave the UFC with more class than Anthony Pettis did. It makes me a huge fan of his, man. I already really, really liked Anthony Pettis, but now I really like Anthony Pettis. Seriously, like, I want, and here's what I want to say. I want to give him his due real quick. Okay, first of all, Anthony Pettis got famous with the Showtime knockout. He was a huge prospect when he was in his early 20s. He was like, he had Showtime written on his back. He did the jump knockout on Ben Henderson where he jumped off the fence. He did all kinds of crazy moves, and he was knocking everybody out, and he was really, really good. There was a moment there. He was on a Wheaties box. There was a moment there where he looked like he was going to be Conor McGregor, right? And he was almost as big as Conor McGregor for a very short period of time. Then he started getting beat a little bit. Started bouncing around, and now he's basically acknowledged it was because he was being lazy. He didn't want to, he was fighting at 170 because he didn't want to have to watch his diet and cut weight. I mean, that's just lazy. Like that's just not prioritizing your career over other things, which makes, which explains why he was going back and forth, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, right? And, listen, like the guy, when there's a guy who's like Showtime Pettis, right? Like Showtime. You always wonder, like, is this a guy who actually has the fighting guts underneath? Because, like, you look at, like, a guy like Kevin Lee, okay? And I don't want to shit on Kevin Lee any more than he's been shit on lately. But, like, Kevin Lee was like, yeah, man, he's Showtime. He's got the mouthpiece, whatever. But then he starts losing. You get to see he's soft underneath there, right? Like, I mean, listen, he kicked the shit out of me, obviously. But, like, I'm talking about what he's built out of. Like, he's a broken fighter right now. If you can't see that yourself, I mean, he tapped out and then said he didn't tap out in his last fight. And then after losing a bunch in a row, he got a tattoo of like a gladiator helmet on the back of his head. And you're like, dude, you're on so Amanda Nunes has a gladiator arm tattoo, and I was like, that's such a badass tattoo, right? Because she's the best female fighter in the history of the sport. Kevin Lee, you're on you've lost 5 of 7 fights, and then you get a gladiator helmet tattooed on the back of your head. That's not you being like, I'm a gladiator. That's you like, I'm losing my identity. Like, I'm losing my identity because I'm losing, so I need to overcompensate with some crazy thing like a tattoo on the back of my head of a fucking gladiator helmet. It's like, I'm a fighter. You guys, I'm a fighter. Like, I'm not winning, but this says I'm a fighter. This is what I am. It's like, dude, just go win a fight, man. Like, you have the talent. Just win a fight. But Anthony Pettis, when he started losing, you don't know, is he a Kevin Lee or what is he? Because he's good looking, all that. And that's when you really saw what he was built out of, because he was losing fights, but he was so game, man. You go watch that Dustin Poirier fight. Go watch Anthony Pettis versus Dustin Poirier and tell me that's not one of the best fights you've ever seen. Go watch Tony Ferguson against Anthony Pettis and tell me that's not one of your favorite fights. Every one of his fights. Dude, that one when he was against Dustin Poirier, he's like cut everywhere. He had broken hands, and he looked up at the camera and went, blood everywhere. I was like, damn, dude. He is a gamer. He's a fucking gamer. He even said, he's like, I just want to put on amazing fights. I want to fight everybody. I want to put on amazing fights. And he did that. And then when he got his back against the wall, lost a couple in a row, he won 2 in a row on his way out. Now, everybody was wondering why he was on the undercard in this last fight, and that's because obviously Dana, if he hadn't signed a contract extension, they knew he was probably going to shop, free agency. So they wanted to make him less desirable. So, I don't know if they did a good job of that. They gave him a beatable opponent and put him on the undercard. I mean, really, they took the pressure off of him, and he won. And he won pretty impressive, So I would imagine that they probably thought that guy would beat him. They probably, I think their intention was to have him get beat by a no-name guy on the undercard and really drive his value down. That's what I think. But he won. And so they were unsuccessful there. Now, PFL, they've got a weird structure, man. There's like a league. I mean, he must have gotten a lot of money because, I don't know. I mean, you got to assume that PFL paid him a big bonus because that's a big get for PFL. Anthony Pettis is a huge get for PFL, especially coming off 2 wins, man. Because I'll watch PFL. Seriously, if Anthony Pettis is fighting, I'll watch that. I couldn't name a single other fighter on PFL, but I'll watch when Anthony Pettis is going to fight. So, anyway, congratulations to him. Again, pure class. I was already a huge fan. I'm a bigger fan now. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is this Masvidal and Colby interview that he did on, the guys that I talked about in one of my other videos that I thought that they do a good job. I think they're from Australia or something. Anyway, but I just want to say this, okay? I am positive that this is an act, okay? Like, when I watch him, the more he talked last night, he's like, look, man, he's like, he's talking about the Masvidal fight. He's like, there's not a better fight in the sport right now. I mean, Masvidal, he and I, we were best friends for 10 years. We spent every single day together for 10 years, and now we're enemies. And now we're bitter enemies. And, we want to kill each other, man. And I just watched it, I'm like, nah. And you want to know why nah? Because, again, okay, I can tell I would be super good buddies with Masvidal and with Colby, assuming that they don't ever see these and then get mad at me that I'm saying that I don't believe their beef. But again, for the 100th time, I'm giving them props. Okay, like I'm not like, first of all, what's this video gonna do? 4,000 views at best. Okay, like I'm not worried about blowing their cover. This is for I basically consider everybody who's a viewer, especially putting it at the back half or the back of this video. Only my really hardcore people are actually gonna see this anyway. So this is just between me and my hardcores, right? And here's the deal, okay? I would be best friends with Masvidal. I would be best friends with Colby in the right scenario. You know what I mean? Like if we were training together and whatever, like we would be super good buddies. And I'm telling you, okay, I understand guys like them. I understand because they're like me. Okay, there's no fucking scenario, zero scenario where someone who was my best friend for 10 years and my training partner becomes my bitter enemy and I hate them. It's not possible. Like it would never happen. Okay, it would never happen. That's why I know that. And again, you go back to the White House on election night. Masvidal is campaigning with Trump. Oh geez, I wonder where he made that introduction. Colby knows all that, and somehow they got Masvidal campaigning with the Trumps. Colby seems to never be around. Then on election night, Colby's at the White House, and Masvidal is strangely quiet that night. You have no idea where he was. Well, geez, where's Masvidal? He's not going to say where he is on election night because he's at the White House with Colby, obviously, right? But again, I'm giving these guys props, man. They pulled this off exceptionally. Only a person like me who's incredibly gifted at reading people can look at this and just know, okay, this is an act. It's a genius act. Because here's the thing, I don't even care. I don't care. The fact that it's fake makes me want to watch the fight more. Okay, it's a beautiful thing, man. And if they get to do the Ultimate Fighter together, oh my God, because that's what they're talking about, potentially them doing Ultimate Fighter and being coaches. We're gonna get to watch those two guys fake fight with each other for an entire season, knowing that behind the scenes, okay, because I've done reality shows, obviously you guys know that, I've done multiple reality shows, okay, what'll happen, they'll be, fuck you, hey, fuck you, yeah, fucking Street Judas, cameras off, they're gonna be laughing. Everyone on the show is gonna know that the shit's not real, okay, and they're gonna sign NDAs and all that stuff. It's gonna be hilarious because they're gonna be faking it, and I'm gonna know it. I'm going to know that they're faking the entire... It's going to be amazing, okay? Then they're going to fight, though. And, one thing Colby did say is he's like, George Masvidal, he doesn't want this fight. He's felt what this is. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've watched a lot of their sparring footage from before, and, dude, Colby would just grind Masvidal out. It looked a lot like the Usman fight, Yeah, so I actually like Colby in that fight. I love both of them. I fucking love these guys, man. I cannot express to you how much I love Masvidal and Colby, especially because this thing is fake. I fucking love these guys, man. I love these guys. And after they get that payday, we may not be able to just say, okay, yeah, it's fake until after they do like a trilogy or something. It's highly possible they'll do like a trilogy. They'll just be printing money together, man. Fuck, man, that's so awesome. It's so fun. You fool the whole world with your best friend, man. It's the best thing ever. It's the best thing ever. I love these guys. Fucking love these guys. Anyway, so as an added bonus, though, for you guys, since it's Christmas Eve and everybody's probably looking for things to watch or shows, whatever, I'm going to give you guys a list of movies and television shows that you guys can watch during the holiday season, okay? So, the best adult Christmas movie I've ever seen, I just watched the other night, okay? It's called Better Watch Out, okay? It's like it'll be listed in the horror section. It's not a horror movie, okay? It's a thriller, but it's hilarious, okay? It is so good, okay? I think it has like an 88 on Rotten Tomatoes or something. So it's not just me telling you, but I loved it. It was hard to be more entertained by a movie than that. Now, it's not for your kids. It's definitely not for your fucking kids. It's rated R correctly. Better Watch Out, okay? It's about a babysitter babysitting a 12-year-old kid, and so that's how you'll know. A hot blonde babysitter. That's how you'll know you're looking at the right one. Better Watch Out. And then as far as TV shows go, I just finished the 4th season of Fargo. If you've never watched the actual television show Fargo, if you've seen the movie Fargo and you think that translates to the television show, you're out of your fucking mind. The TV show's 100 times better. Fargo's a great movie too, but Fargo is one of the best. I actually am going to say this. I think Fargo's the most underrated show on television, period. Like the most underrated show on television, because you don't hear people talking about it, and it's exceptional. It's exceptional. And the great thing is each season is its own story. You could watch the 3rd season, then the 1st season, then the 4th season, then the 2nd season. Wouldn't matter. Each one is its own compartmentalized story, just like American Horror Story. Which, by the way, if you guys have never watched American Horror Story, fucking get on that. But with Fargo, definitely watch the 1st season. Just do it in order, because they're all awesome. But the 1st season might be the best because it has Billy Bob Thornton's character in the 1st season of Fargo might be my favorite character in the history of television. Seriously. Like, you have him, you have, Omar from The Wire, and then you have everybody else. Serious. The character, like, that Billy Bob Thornton's character in the 1st season of Fargo is on par with Omar from The Wire, okay? Right there. And then you got everybody else. There's no other, there's no one else in the conversation for the top spot. Also, if you've never seen The Wire, I mean, that's the best show ever made. Just watch that. But, most people have seen that by now. I also, the best single season of anything, where there's only, the best single season of anything is True Detective season 1. Okay, that's the best single season of anything, and that's a self-compartmentalized season as well. And I could do a whole fucking video on that single season on my other channel and talk about how it connects to the actual pedophile rings. Like, it is so. They pulled so much stuff from real pedophile rings to use in this True Detective season 1. Like, if you've ever watched any of the not any of the crazy Pizzagate stuff, but the legit Pizzagate stuff, there's the crazy Pizzagate stuff, which is like Hillary Clinton drinks baby blood, nonsense, utter nonsense. Then there's the legit Pizzagate stuff, and I would encourage you guys to go seek out Mouthy Buddha's Pedogate videos. Okay, they banned him off YouTube because they were a little too close to home. You'll understand exactly why when you watch them. But the symbolism and stuff of these pedophile rings, they used it all in the True Detective season 1. But also the show Taboo. Okay, so Taboo with Tom Hardy, it's on Hulu. Fucking incredible show. Right there with True Detective season 1. And what else? What other shows are there? If you're looking for like an epic, multi-season epic that you may have never seen, watch The Shield. That's on Hulu also. It's based on the Rampart Crash Unit. It's basically like it's the movie Training Day, except a seven season show that is they're based on the same thing. The movie Training Day is based on Rafael Perez and the Rampart Crash Unit, and the Shield is based on that same unit. So it's like the most corrupt cops ever. Anti-gang unit, 7 seasons. It's fucking amazing. I might watch it again, actually. But anyway, that's what I got for you guys. So, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. By the way, guess what I'm doing for New Year's? Guess what I'm doing for all you guys who have waited this long? It's going to be my family and the entire Gravano family. We're flying to Arizona. We're going to be with Sammy Gravano, Gerard Gravano, Karen Gravano, the one from Mob Wives, and like their entire family. They're all coming in from New York. We're going out there, so it's going to be Jesse on Fire's family and this big Italian New Year's Eve party with the entire Gravano family. So that'll be fun. Anyway, that's what I got for now, and look out for more projects with Sammy the Bull, because we may end up having to move to Arizona to do something permanent with them, because like the Drinkin' Bros podcast, except the bullpen with Jesse on everything and Sammy the Bull breaking balls and talking about current events all day and hosting a bunch of people. So anyway, that's what we got. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. Peace.